Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of USGov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
All right, episode 17 of Making Turbo Pit Fighter, where Jake and Kurt work side by side on one comic. Jake pencils, I ink, and man, we just keep going on and on about this story. Jake, how you doing over there? Is it raining?
No, but it looks like it's threatening.
Threatening. It's raining down my way. And as I told you, oh man, he's gone. I had a huge blue heron on my neighbor's roof. It was like a dinosaur had arrived.
Yeah.
Based on our last episode where we were talking about dinosaurs.
Welcome to another episode of Wild Kingdom. Yeah, they were interesting conversation. Talking about art through history and the way that people were exploited. The sci-fi comic that we're doing now is also going to be kind of a commentary on the way people are going to be exploited in the future. And this is all, sadly, our prediction of how things are going to go. It ain't going to be good, but we're on this kind of course right now of billionaire consolidation, and some of the excesses of that could be that right now you can argue that the government has already been taken over here in the U.S. We just don't really notice it. But in the story of Turbo Pit Fighter, which is going to be happening in the 2240s, it's going to be, just blatant. It's going to be a hot war between the U.S. government and a private company run by the DeHuberton families. And the private company, I've been kind of grappling with this. I want to have Walco as one of the names of the private companies for obvious reasons. But, there's going to be a lot of different companies. It'll all just kind of be, the same owners. And it'll come through all kinds of acquisitions and mergers and everything over years and years and years in the sci-fi timeline that people will be able to read eventually through our Substack bonus content. But if we really think about it, we have, a lot of this is going on right now. When people buy toilet paper, if you buy Cottonelle or Brawny or Angel Soft, you're like, oh, this one's 30 cents cheaper. It's all the same owners. People might not know, but the only reason that they have those different brand names is because they market tested it, and some people want to buy, toilet paper that has a little baby on the front, a little angel, and the other people want to buy one that has a brawny guy on the front, and it's all Coke Industries. So, commentary like that is kind of going to be baked into the, our sci-fi storyline. But, the actual comic itself is going to be a little more action-packed. It's going to be, fighting and pit fights.
I was just going to jump in and create that clarity, because what we've been talking about for the last 2 episodes up to this point is I pushed Jake into... he's writing all of this wonderful stuff down into a format which we will then start posting on Substack,
Yeah.
/Doom Mags, I believe.
Yeah.
But we're not propagating yet because Jake's got a full house here.
No, but
going to another house.
Yeah, I can't wait to get
and
started
and,
on
and and the and then I also have been begging and pleading to make conceptual sketches to go along with this. So there'll be a time, I don't know when, but we're just right now digging into Turbo's past, doing some good science fiction writing on the fly here, where we're taking what we're experiencing right now in 2024 and up to 2024 in our society and apply it to a real healthy or, unhealthy post-apocalyptic sci-fi comic book. So
Yeah, I'm
it's
really
all good and exciting.
I'm really psyched, and I was thinking about how to kind of like we don't want to we don't want to just like make a story and then put it out and everything. We want to get into a workflow, and I was thinking one way to do that is maybe it'll be eventually with guests, but for now, because we have a lot of guests that are expressed interest in joining us for one of these making of episodes, which is going to be fun. But also, just the way that Kurt and I work together is I'm going to tell Kurt, I need you to, like we're going to follow a story. Like, let's say we get into like, episode, 16, the coming of the giantesses. I need Kurt to ask me some questions, because that really helps me, understand what parts are not developed yet, and what somebody just fresh coming to the material might be thinking and asking as we're writing it, because then we could write it accordingly and not only answer those questions, but for me, sometimes I have this stuff like kind of like made up and pat in my mind already, but sometimes not. And we get to like these crossroads where like this just happened now. Like I'm thinking like, hey Kurt, should all of these companies be pre-existing companies that are acquired, or should they be all manufactured by this one family? Should they have a different company and a different brand for every different industry? And because there is going to come a point in the timeline where they're exposed as being all just one company. And I even have one part of the story where it's going to be, and this is like ripped from the headlines today. I'm going to have like these lifestyle packages where people like, when you have your preppers that have their underground bunker, and that's kind of like real today. So they're going to...
I follow those channels.
Yeah. Well, this was...
I do. I mean, I do a lot of, they call it Bushmasters.
Right.
So, like I'm a big Outdoor Boys fan. Right. So it's a little bit more family styled, but there are some other ones that come in. But I will, and I'm just ejecting because it does lock into the whole, like, post-apocalyptic, when it does it really well, like Mad Max and the Road Warrior, is like one of my favorite scenes in which is the opener. Well, I guess it's the opener to Road Warrior. Is he's eating out of the can of Alpo dog food,
right?
And then he takes his his nasty finger and he sweeps it around and then fixes it, and then he looks in the can and he looks at his dog, which is a blue heeler, which is an excellent dog to have if you're stuck out in the wild as in a post-apocalyptic situation, and throws the can to the dog. And then, of course, then all the things like that. But that little scene, and I think that's really what we're trying to cut out, and you're really kind of asking of me right now, is what types of things can we cut out that make it feel closer to us in reality, yet it's in a crazy post-apocalyptic comic book?
Yeah, so getting to the the preppers, like, there are people. I mean, I hear commercials on my radio when I'm driving home, are for people to stock up with freeze dried food. It's got 2,000 calories. It lasts for 25 years, and I'm like, who are these people? But they're out there, and that's one community of people, one like lifestyle, let's say. But I think in our story, the DeHubertons, they're going to be marketing to those people, and they're also going to under one company name, and then they're also going to be marketing to let's say college educated liberals, for lifestyle packages under another market name, where it's like, oh, you can get your green lifestyle, and you'll this package includes solar energy and responsibly sourced coffee beans and all that. But
yeah, but that's the magic of free marketing.
that's the
It's
magic of
just
free marketing. But
unfortunate
the
that
deception
that
is that people don't realize that it's all the
it's one company.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when when that
exactly.
expose comes out, it's going to be damaging. And the DeHubertons, as they're exposed for all these little things, they're going to ratchet up their aggressiveness, the way that they kind of lock in, because yeah, sure, a lot of people might quit at that point. And so, then it's going to be more like, no, you're under contract, and now it becomes like a hostile relationship. But that's
Right.
that's something that we have to think about, even until for after they take over the government, after they defeat the government and they take over the military, they own the skies. They're still going to have a certain number of people that are on board with their lifestyle packages because they're living in protected areas. And then there's going to be the resistance people, that are completely anti. And then there's going to be people, that are going to be trapped. They're against the DeHubertons at this point, but they don't have any other choice. And I think that's going to be an interesting commentary for the kind of like the impoverished masses that are in like economic servitude, because literally their air and food and water and healthcare and sewer services are all coming, from this company that, that if they don't do it tomorrow, that their houses all get flooded with, with sewer, stuff. So, it's it's an interesting thing, here, to just talk about and plan. But, we're going to start getting this stuff in writing. And for people that read prose, and like sci-fi nerds, I think, this was all your idea. It's going to be a way to like onboard them, for our other, creative stuff here, making a comic and, podcasting about other influencers and all that. So, yeah, so that like pops into my mind all the time when we're having these talks, not just the talks about making the comic here, but, we're just talking about, hey man, I got to upgrade my computer because the new AI chips are coming out, and and I'm going to have to plunk down. I'm in the same situation as you. My silver MacBook is already 15 years old, but my white MacBook is freaking 25 years old. So
Right. Yeah.
this affects me, and they're both working fine,
It affects me too.
right. But it affects it, and so we all got to get onto the latest greatest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm only saying this for myself, so I don't want you to feel like you have to. But every time I am in this situation, which does happen like every about 5 years,
Yeah.
I start putting money. I start putting money aside.
Yeah.
So I start looking at technology. Now, the funniest part about computer technology is it all meanders around really good, excellent, powerful computers. Usually range between $3,000 to $5,000. And then at least that's where I end up, saving up to, and then and I usually get my. I think, yeah, no, all of no,
Yeah,
other than
that
my
sounds like
laptops.
workstation computers.
No, and I have them built by Dell computers. So that's the thing. And like the system I'm running off of right now, 10 years ago I got into 3D,
Yeah.
and it didn't work out the way I was hoping it would. And so I migrated into the marketing stuff. And part of that marketing stuff has been editing videos,
Yeah.
uploading and downloading large formats of content. And so my computer is not designed for that. So I'm basically bullying my computer to do it.
Yeah.
And it does very well. Thank you very much. But now I will have a computer designed for all the specs of what I'm doing now, which I pretty much not thinking anything new is going to happen for me other than video editing, which is why I other than not having the money, but at this moment, but I am waiting for the AI chips to consolidate and then the programs to consolidate in order to make and use AI to manipulate video, because that is something I'm interested in when it does come to motion graphics in an animation style, even flash animation kind of thing.
Right.
Which is something you and I have a history with, and I would like to see us get back to taking a couple frames on taking the panels on a comic book page and then giving it a little bit of life so it can help promote us for the computer. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things, attention-wise, ends up shifting adjacent to making and selling a comic book.
Yeah, we are anticipating, there's going to be these kind of like just drag and drop motion graphic things. Anyone's going to be able to, pop some comic panel into, and it's going to turn it into like, not legitimate animation, but something on the way.
Well, have you seen that where you could take a photograph, a portrait of somebody, and you throw it in this program? I can't remember what it's called right now, but you can then buy all of the little slide bars and doodads. You can generate, I think it's around 10 seconds of, and then you can upload the video. The audio, and it will talk.
Yeah,
your photograph will talk.
Yeah, my brother sends me these goofy things, and it's like me, talking, and and he recorded some videos, so he's got some app on his phone already, that does that.
Yep.
You just take a still. I mean, I saw yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw somebody sent me Donald Trump and Joe Biden discussing calculus formulas, and it was their voices and it was their likenesses, and and it wasn't like the Monty Python moving mouth. It was like,
correct.
It was really lip synced very well.
Well, you know what would be, do yourself a favor. You have almost 100 of those beautiful women portraits you've done.
Right.
And I know you've got some of them shot already in photographs, right?
Yeah, high res, yeah.
Because send one of them to your brother and ask him to get it to say something about Turbo.
Right. We could very easily do that, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
that'd be so cool if you could get a little video of that.
We could even set it to the audio of Allison Gill from the Daily Beans. Remember when she read our thing on the air?
Oh, well, you do have to contact her and get her permission.
Yeah, I'm sure she would.
Just
be
that's
I'm sure
that's
she
that you want to.
Yeah,
really?
but we'll see. Yeah, but all of these little all these little new technologies are coming down the road, and I mean, I'm very impressed with this magic wand tool that they have now. My phone just updated one day, and now I have this magic wand tool. So if I click on a photo of anything, anywhere, anytime, and I hold my thumb,
bye.
You hold your thumb on it, it automatically silhouettes the foreground person or character or whatever that you can just drag And it's already like some of this Adobe AI stuff that you're seeing just built into the tools of a regular iPhone. So it's all happening, and we're just kind of documenting it. Maybe if you're listening to this 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you're gonna laugh.
You're laughing your ass
Yeah,
off.
at us.
Yep.
Because but that this is also part of the look back. If you're interested enough to see how Turbo Pit Fighter got created, and you're spending your time listening to me and Kurt go on, then you probably have an interest in how things got this way, and that's a very interesting subject, especially like for fans of Road Warrior and Furiosa, which
yeah,
I'm trying
May 24th, baby.
Yes,
that's my best friend's birthday. You know where we'll be at.
Yes. Oh, you're gonna go on the very first day?
I don't know. I got to talk to him. So I'll either have emailed him already. I texted him, or when I'm editing this video.
Yeah, we're psyched. As we're talking, there's a lot of new movies coming out. There's a new Planet of the Apes movie out. There's a new Dune movie out. All these franchises. What were we just talking about a minute ago? Oh, Alien. We were just talking about Alien. There's a brand new Alien movie out right now. So, or coming out. And so, it just goes on and on. And, the simple fact is people love sci-fi, and that these franchises just live forever. Right?
Yes.
All right. So I think I got this one. Now, there was one area I wanted to show you, because it says the chieftain here, but we're missing some parts of the letters here. And if you're already stapling stuff on your end, you might want to take a look at
No, I'm not. I haven't printed anything until I get these pages. I need copies of these pages to make it official, to then go and get.
So this is a part of a pit fight here, where two fighters are fighting. One of them had an illegal projectile, inject like some kind of crippling poison. And apparently the poison got to Kurt, who was lettering this, because he...
what do you mean?
This is
Chief.
This is supposed to be chieftain here. And it looks like...
I had an eye?
It looks like we left out some of the strokes here. So maybe you were also...
Oh!
Maybe you
there
were
you go.
also in crippling agony as you were doing this.
Oh, wow. That's really...
Yeah, but as you can see, it's a very easy fix. But I just wanted you to be aware of this, because it's like people might not even be able to read the thing. And I'm going through and I'm fixing, like, I just found like maybe 2 or 3 typos like that. I found sometimes the letters are transposed, which is just a typical dyslexic thing. But sometimes they're upside down vertically. Like an M is a W type thing. Is that common? Yeah. So
Oh yeah, and if somebody doesn't check me, I can't see it. That's the problem.
Really?
I mean, I have had people stand over me, pointing to a block of that kind of text, saying, "You don't see that I is supposed to be a W."
Really? Oh wow.
And I'm like, no, it's not it. It's not a W. It's an M.
Right.
It's just I was diagnosed in first grade, failed first grade because of it.
Yeah.
They even thought I was autistic.
Right.
And we moved to Texas, and because there was rumors they were not going to let me back into the Delaware school system, the public school system, I was probably going to have to go to another type of school system, basically children with learning disabilities. And my parents were like, I still remember being in the office with my parents, and my dad's like, no, it's not happening. And he goes, thank God we're moving. Texas was the #1 state in the country in the 70s that was testing preliminary for learning disabilities. I was diagnosed double dyslexic.
Yeah.
That's what they called it.
Right.
And so what it meant is that I can barely process words in long periods of time. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if I'm writing out text it's going to happen automatically. And then since I've written it, my brain can't see it. Now, I have been getting better, but everything I write and do, I did not do it for these pages because I didn't think my wife wanted to really read a post-apocalyptic comic book.
Yeah.
But she has to. I always have to have somebody look at my stuff.
Huh.
And it's been that way my entire life. So I am no longer disappointed in myself.
No.
But here's the benefit that came out of it. In Texas for 5 years, all my English classes were in a trailer because I was down in East Texas, near the Sabine River, Louisiana side. And for 5 years, all of my lessons were done with words, pictures, and puzzles. No wonder I ended up becoming word, pictures, and puzzles.
Okay.
So the puzzle part of it was to trick my mind.
Right.
Or untrick my mind. I don't know how you would do it. But, the thing I had to do was slow down to an excruciating point in order to comprehend reading text and even writing text. But the story even goes out to 4th grade. I had a young woman as my English teacher. And this wasn't even a part of the extracurricular stuff I had to do. But I remember her saying, she said, when you do your end of the year paper on whoever you're going to write it, you had to write it on a character. And she said it like this: you can draw as many pictures as you want. Well, I was like, oh man, I'm doing John Henry. I'm going to draw 12 pictures of John Henry.
Right.
So I illustrate this story, right? And there's only one page, which was in that big wide, letter, where you write A, B, right? And it said John Hen, or HE-NREI, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was a steel driving man. He was my favorite character. And then I did 12 illustrations, right? Color pencil, crayon, whole bit.
Is this the origin of Kurt?
We have an end of the year. It is, man. This is square. Get this shit, man.
Yeah.
You ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
4th grade. So she says, she doesn't say, we have an end of the year meeting, teacher-parent meeting, where all the parents come, you and your parents come to this classroom, and it's very social. There's punch and cookies, and you're there with your friends, and your parents are meeting each other, blah, blah, blah. And the teacher's circulating and stuff. And she comes over and she goes, oh, Kurt, we want to meet your parents. And so they meet my parents, and they say, nice to meet you. And she goes, oh, I want you to meet somebody, my husband. And so her husband comes up, and this young guy, because they're young, in their 20s, and he says, oh my, so you're the artist.
Right.
And he shakes my hand, and he's holding my John Henry illustrated paper. And then he looks at my parents and goes, you have an artist on your hands. I'm an illustrator.
Yeah. Oh, he was?
Ed says, yeah, he's an illustrator. And he says, I would like to introduce him to an adult drawing and painting class down at the Art Center downtown.
Wow.
Next thing you know it, I get dropped off every Tuesday or whatever after school. And I sat in an adult class, a class full of adults learning how to draw.
Right.
And I was in 4th grade.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. New York City teachers all had to undergo this training, not this year, but last year. And it's like this mandatory training on dyslexia. And I was looking really forward to it because, I have plenty of dyslexic kids. And I'm like, okay, how do I help them? I'm the art teacher, and, I can't wait to find out, how to do this, and, what really valuable things that I can do in the classroom. And it ended up being one of these, just corporate video, or not corporate, but institutional videos. And the amount of actual helpful, instruction was very minimal. What it was like a celebrity video with Keira Knightley and all these other famous people that are artistic, and they're just trying to humanize. They're trying to say, like, they're not learning disabled. It's, you just need to recognize it. Here are the signs. And I'm just like, talking back to my computer, because these are like all these training videos that we have to do. We don't get paid for this. We're supposed to, like, they're like, complete it. And it's like, yeah, when? So, I'm listening to all this stuff like on my own time, and I'm like, where's all the valuable instruction? And it's not really there. It's just like, just awareness. And
well, it's like made you aware. It's made you aware of, like you said, you notice the signs.
Yeah.
Like you could see in my lettering, when you were looking at it, you were like, oh boy, Kurt's really, truly dyslexic.
Well, it's not.
I wonder how bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's not very often.
Now you could,
it's just once in a while here, that I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I manage it, but managing it is partially based on the time that I can allocate to, being able to double check my work and have somebody check it. When I really, have learned, in appreciating not only, your time in only being able to put Turbo together on Sundays, but also my time.
Yeah.
And I can get very, very anxious. And if you've been listening to this show, you will notice I have a lot of just nervous tics, or I call them excitable tics. And it's just because it's things happen. And these are, like I said, these are all things that dynamically generate me as a great artist.
Yeah.
Which is, something comes up in me, idea or feeling, or an idea of a feeling, or a feeling of an idea, and I just want to get it out.
Yeah.
I don't care whatever kind of form it is. And I am willing to hear back, because I have all my life go, somebody in return go, the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
What did you just, okay, what didn't you understand? Well, I'm talking about, it's Conan. Oh, it's Conan you're talking about. Oh, it's a comic book.
Right,
oh, okay.
Right,
and the idea is what? Oh, well, and then what happens is, once again, no offense, I don't really care if you get it or not. I get it then.
Right.
I understand what that thought and feeling was.
Yeah, I remember.
Then I can go away.
I remember there was
I do it to my wife all the time.
Yeah, I remember there was a 60 Minutes piece on this was like a long time ago, but there was a 60 Minutes piece on a kid who was like this genius level Ivy League student, but his mom had to live in the dorm with him because everything had to be read aloud. And they said he could read it himself, but it takes like 5 times longer, to do it that way. Yeah. And, and he... Now
that had to have been before text to speech. Because I use text to speech all the time, if not all day long.
Oh yeah, but I remember in the '90s, the late '90s, trying to find a good text to speech program, and
yeah,
and then and there's text to speech, but there's also speech to text too, because that's a big thing with me.
Yep.
Sometimes when I'm just like lying in bed and I have a good idea for the Substack, I'm like, I can't turn a light on. I mean, even if I did turn a light on, my eyes wouldn't work. It takes like 20 minutes, to get back up and recover. So, I just say, hey, Siri, email to myself, or open up, a Google Doc, and then all you gotta do is find the little microphone button and start talking. You'll need to unlock your iPhone. Look, you hear that? Siri just responded. And sometimes, you wake up in the morning and it's like, a little of it is gobbledygook. Sometimes you get those weird, homonyms and everything, but, it's the way technology can really help people, and it's not even, it's not even like,
it should help us.
It's just like, productivity.
Well, it's so acceptable nowadays to have a challenge or whatever, however you want to catalog it as. But I have, and it was years ago, 10 maybe, I absolutely, hands down, believe everything I'm able to do as a creative person is based on these that society calls problems, challenges, whatever it is. But this is what makes me the fantastic artist that I am. And also, these internalized challenges within society has also helped me create a better understanding of the parameters that I should be staying within for not only my comfort, but also for the comfort of others. But once again, one of the reasons we're doing this this podcast is to keep us on trail, on task, on point, meet every Sunday for 3 hours, be able to get lines on the paper and everything and keep moving forward. But exactly what we're sharing right now, it's like making sense of things and documenting that and pondering the question and maybe not having an answer yet. And because I love editing our videos. I do it always the morning of. I get up at about 5 in the morning and then I edit together. It takes usually about 2 hours, if that. But it helps me prime for then the day's episode because we don't really script anything. There's no you sending me something. Sometimes you do. Sometimes I do too. Hey, I want to talk about this. Or, hey, here's some things image-wise that I want to, But for the most part, we're just returning to where we left off last Sunday.
Right.
But it's going to be amazing being retired and, I don't know, in the late 60s, early 70s. I think about it all the time. I'm just going to play the playlist. Start with episode 1 and listen to 500 and something plus, probably 1,000 episodes of us talking and that's far more entertaining to me than anything. It's great.
Sometimes I click on an old episode, I listen to it. It's fascinating for us, whether it's fascinating to the audience, remains to be seen. But we definitely have been growing in subscribers, and we've been doing some great networking. So what we're doing is kind of like a different model from anybody else. So we've been feeling our way through it, but
we could be ahead of the curve or not on the curve.
Right, all out of the box a little.
But this is actually a thought I had today. So the Ed Piskor legacy, which I believe is his family, are still posting videos from that were in the archives that were for emergency situations, like if both of them couldn't be together to record on their Thursdays. And they just started posting today. They posted they were doing these where it was camera of them in the studio being recording.
Right.
So you could see Ed and Jim, right, and everything. And I'm watching this thing going, I can't believe I'm watching this, and it's so damn interesting. But I've already heard this episode. I've already seen this episode.
Yeah.
But I have it from a different place. And this thought came up, which I also think could help us, or we could apply it. Cartoonist kayfabe, God bless, and God rest, Ed, it's all historical. It's educational. I now start thinking, when will people start using their videos with permission as references to expanding upon said comic book history? Because what they have accomplished in 5 years, and the archive is nobody's going to do this, but somebody might come along and a group of people and use them as a base platform in order to keep growing and defining these things that they were exploring. So if you look at what we're doing, the worst case scenario in making it to, let's say, 10 years, or 5 years, let's say just in 5 years, everything that we've recorded as a video becomes just one more step in the process of making our comic book, not a comic book, our comic book. But with AI, this is the thing I am so, number one, waiting for. You will be able to read all of the videos and write new videos from them. Because the two things, Jake, we need is what we're talking about and the visual of what we're doing. So there might be a time where we'll have archive footage of us just penciling and inking, and I could then take script of us wanting to talk about something and then script it, put it in AI, and generate our voices.
Oh, really?
And then just run the two videos side by side, and you would never know the difference.
Right. Really?
Because we on purpose don't want you to see our faces, because I personally, I'm not hounding on you, but I don't think I'm a pretty enough face to stare at for 45 minutes to an hour.
Well, I think,
but this is way more prettier.
Yeah, I think that with every YouTube channel and podcast where it's just somebody talking. I mean, I understand. There's a human connection and everything, but it's a lot of photons.
Yeah, it's the Johnny Carson thing. Everybody wants to be recognized as some kind of like.
Yeah, but ideally what you want AI to do, I would think, is, if you have somebody, like, let's say somebody's got a podcast, it's politics or recipes or something, you want to record the thing staring into the camera, but then you want the AI to put in graphics and put in stock photos and put in
that too. Yeah.
Imagine.
I think that's also going to be a part of it.
Imagine if every time you and I refer to a classic comic, if the AI just put the cover in there, automatically, wouldn't that be amazing? It
will happen. It will. The problem with that happening...
Yeah, it will need editing.
No, it's going to cost money. That's what I've slowed myself down on the excitement train for AI.
Right.
Because you really got a year to wait to see what falls out as the best and most appropriate place to pay for getting that stuff done.
Right.
The bigger corporations like Adobe, I think that if Adobe, and this goes back to our corporations meeting and taking over, if Adobe signs a deal with YouTube, it's all done. It's all done. If you can make and edit. Now, Riverside is trying to do that, and I have to give it to them. We use Riverside.fm to record. I don't edit any of the videos. They're actually trying to get me to. I've been getting emails from individuals saying, if you're having issues, please sign your name onto this calendar and leave your phone number, and one of our representatives will call you and help guide you through. Because they really want this to be one of the biggest platforms that you come into, and all you have to do is what we've done. Set up camera, microphone, have it on whatever it is you're talking about, and go. And then be able to do exactly what you just said, Jake, is, Riverside, please insert cover of comic book with first appearance of Batman. Right. And it'll go, whoop. That is going to be there. But the problem is all the gatekeepers are holding on to all this. And they all got to agree based on the price, and then that price has to match what we're willing to put down.
Yeah. Well, it's a changing world, and the reason we're talking about it so much is because we are doing a sci-fi comic. We are thinking about the future as we're in the future, and we're also looking to the past. And it's also interesting when we come to somebody like Chance Priest, who was a great interview we did about maybe 3 weeks ago now, or a month ago. And how here's a guy that doesn't even like email or I don't know. I guess he does like, certain things, but he says he's not a tech guy, right? Basically. And, he's an old fashioned guy he's creating sculptures. He's casting them. He's doing runs. He said he does runs of 50 to 60, and then he breaks the mold, or he really limits them. And then he's got comics that he puts out on the side with these great characters. And he was so anti AI, that there's still, and he might be, an age group that's going to be, eventually phasing out. But there is
He's our age.
There is.
You're. Go ahead.
Same as us. But there is a backlash, contingent with the AI too, and it's not that they're going to boycott everything that comes along, but there's just there a lot of people that are against it, for lots of different reasons, and when something comes up and it is egregiously wrong, there's lawsuits right now because of sexual harassment, reports of people that had nothing to do with that, and it was just because the AI generated that. Because that's that happened to a friend of mine. He calls me one day, and he's like, "Look, he chat GPT'd himself, and it said that he was written up for sexually harassing a colleague." And he said, "I never even worked in the same office as this colleague," and he was like out of his mind. And sure enough, I just sent him a link, because this happened to somebody that was quite a bit higher profile than he is, and there's lawsuits now. It's ChatGPT has their disclaimer. They're like, check everything. Some of this might be inaccurate, blah blah blah, but that doesn't stop somebody from bringing a lawsuit saying that there was a negative impact, and they're going to try and get a ton of money now. So there's a backlash to this too. One thing, if we sound excited about it, I kind of am, and I'm also very cautious. I would love to see animation, being automated. Yep. Because I think I have some great ideas. I would love to, I would pay $1,000 for a great, AI animation tool that says, give me 2 minutes of
$39.95 a month, baby.
Right, give me 2 minutes of Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin. But I don't know. It's a very, very wide open frontier. I was talking to somebody who retired working from Microsoft, and they are Microsoft is really jumping into the space too. They have something called the Bing Copilot, which I messed around with a little bit. They are trying to figure out what the actual practical use cases are going to be. And a lot of times,
you know what that's based on, though? Do you know what that's based on?
What?
That technology?
What?
It's based on Chippy. Do you remember Chippy?
Oh, the little paperclip thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That technology's been sitting there. Now they're just boosting it with AI.
Yeah. Well, AI has been driving us mad forever. When you're on hold with an insurance company and they want to reroute your call, tell us, about the nature of your call. Some of that
is it this or that? It's neither.
Right. Exactly right. Can I make my own categories? Put a representative on, for Christ's sake. But
yep.
That's the moment we're in. So a lot of different things. One podcast that I would recommend is Chris Hayes has this podcast called what is it called? Why is this happening? And he had an interview with the CEO of Signal, which is it's kind of like a messaging platform that includes guaranteed privacy. And she has been involved in AI for decades, and she, tells you, her take on it. But, the interesting thing that I took away was when she said, right now, the money isn't working. We saw a huge sugar rush on Wall Street, some of it was the hardware manufacturing. But you remember when Facebook changed their name to Meta, and they were going to jump really big into this like metaverses and everything. She says right now the money, like the real money, this has to do with venture capitalists, and they want to see a return on their money. If they're a first mover and they're doing this stuff, they want to know what is the use case and what is the money. And she says that right now it is so incredibly expensive to run the servers now that will do what ChatGPT is doing, is that and she said there's really only 3 companies that could afford to do this and keep the lights on for that kind of processing. And, of course it's like, Apple, Google, Amazon, and I think, Microsoft, ChatGPT, maybe better than me. They were already acquired once, right? They're really like an offshoot of some other company at this point already. Right, it's open AI, but I think the processing power is coming from one of the bigs.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think it's Microsoft.
I think it is Microsoft, right? And so she says, realistically talking, if you have like some other entity that thinks that they're going to come into the AI space and go live with some kind of product that people can actually use, that it's not going to happen. Because, and she said it was Signal. She was very transparent. She said just with Signal, which is the messaging app, I don't know if you use it, but I use it. It costs $50 million a year. Those are their operating expenses, and they're a nonprofit. That's what it costs to keep the servers running, to keep the lights on, and to have the maintenance and the engineers, be ready when a glitch happens. All this kind of stuff. And it's not too many companies, so she says like there's no real startups coming into this space. There might be somebody that that's got something to add, but they're going to end up working for a big, and that's just the reality of things. And so it was a really interesting podcast to listen to. If anybody wants to try and find that up, find that on your podcasts. It was a great listen. But all right,
we are over the 45-minute mark, so let's start wrapping this up. How many pages left do you have?
Well, I've been working on the second page, and and I did about half a page. So I hope that it's like interesting for people to look at. I think it might be really satisfying for people to watch, like lettering getting like cleaned up. Yeah. But
I've been looking over my shoulder and going, wow, it's an interesting way of going about it. I do it a lot differently, but I know you're working off of layers. So I do things before I actually grab the stuff. But I really love the idea of how you're, lassoing the section you want to, edit and grabbing white from the nearest place.
Yeah, that's quicker because you never know if it's actually transparent or white. Like right now, if I hit delete, you just get the layer underneath.
Yeah.
So you're better off just cloning some white here like that. So I don't know, like, how our viewers, will receive this. Sometimes it is hypnotic to watch somebody draw or watch somebody like,
they're probably listening. They're probably listening more.
Yeah, it's a combination. I don't know. We're a very different podcast.
And if you are,
we don't.
if you are listening to us, thank you very much. Because I do know from having conversations with specific individuals that they do enjoy our podcast and have it running while they're doing their own comics. Yeah. And all I want to say right now is don't stop. And when you get to something that you can put into a teaser, contact us and we'll do an exchange, because that's where we're heading to right now. Jake's giving those very, very final touches to the text that I hand wrote in my dyslexic state. And we will very soon have this out for consumption. And the first people who are going to get it in their hands, other than purchasing it directly from my website, kurtrugal.com, will be those who have already been with us. Our good friend Tanner Harley is sending comics to us as we speak.
Oh, wow.
Comic he is just yep. I can't
he was the one that wanted to sit
right
in. He was the one that wanted to sit in on a making of, if I remember.
Oh, we're yep. We just need to get this out of our hair, and then out there, because we have people knocking on my front door asking for copies, and they do have materials that they want to exchange with us. And that's what our indie creator exchange program is all about. Link down below. It's already been a super exciting 2 years. We just passed our 2-year mark, and it's going to be another exciting, I don't know, Jake, what do you think? Another 5-6 years here?
Well, we have a couple of goals, and one of them is to put out a graphic novel in Barnes and Noble. But what the other one is, I mean, Kurt keeps telling me
Barnes and Noble's not going to be around.
What's that? Well, a bookstore.
They're not going to be.
Maybe it'll be in Dollar Tree. But
oh yes, Dollar Tree.
I know. But Kurt's always telling me, Jake, watch. It's going to be the podcast that ends up, being the real popular thing. So, I don't know. I just have an open mind. We're creating sci-fi, and we're seeing what's going to go on. One thing that if you're listening to this and you're a creator, we're open to collab, other ideas, other public domain things. I do a lot of quick writing on the side too. I think the really exciting part is going to be when we're both not working our full-time jobs anymore, and we're doing this.
Oh yeah.
Hot and heavy on Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Yeah. Come in, sit down at a drawing table. It's going to be a dream. So, that's coming for me in the next couple of years. I have a couple more years to teach. And meantime, I have my summers, and we have every Sunday that we do this. So that's our deal.
Awesome. Well, let these people get back to reading comics, making if they choose. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Jake.
All right, man. Ciao, everybody.